managers. So, how's everyone?
Okay naman po.
You're fine,
Okay
ma'am.
naman.
Okay po,
Okay lang
ma'am.
po, ma'am.
Okay. So, I am happy that you're all okay. So, before we start our lesson for today, let's call Miss Geraldine for our prayer.
Okay, before we start our class, let's have a pray first. Dear Lord, we are grateful for today's gift of life. Allow us to praise you and see your glory for another day. Thank you, especially this time of pandemic, for your love and protection. As we begin our class, bless us with your wisdom. Help us focus on what we are about to learn, our heart and mind. As we think and listen, inspire us with your Holy Spirit. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So, as our practice, your class manager will record your recitations. Do we have any absentees for today, Miss Class Secretary?
I'm I'm glad that no one is absent today.
Okay, I am happy that no one absent and everyone is present. So, before we start our lesson for today, what what did we do last meeting? I mean last week. It is your what?
Midterm.
Ma'am,
Sa ano po, email.
Yes,
Ang about sa email po.
email. So, last time we discussed about email. So, what do we mean by email? Anyone from the group? Yes, Geraldine, you were raising your hand.
um, ma'am, email appears the best way to deliver information through technology po. It is the moment that you have a Gmail or Yahoo account, the person can send and receive emails through the internet.
Yes, very good. So, email, those are electronic mails that we send from one person to another. Okay? So, let's proceed to our discussion for today. So, again, hi everyone. I'm Teacher Gryzel and I will be your student to the teacher for today. So, before we proceed to our lesson proper for today, first let's have a game. This game called three three pictures, one sentence. Are you ready?
Yes po.
Okay, so let's start. So in this as you can see at your screen, we have three pictures. The first picture is what? What do you think is the first picture? Or who? Yes, Giselle?
A teacher po.
A teacher, very good. So, the first picture shows a teacher. How about the second? What do you think? Yes, Edwin?
Conversation po, ma'am.
It
Yung
can be a conversation. Yes? Yes, very good. How about the last? The last picture. Yes, Joyanne?
Myth po. Mythology po.
Yes, it's about mythology. So let's try to combine all the all the names or all what you said in the picture. What do you think is the sentence behind this picture? Any guess from anyone? Yes, Joyanne?
Ano po, yung teacher po, tinuturo niya po sa mga students niya po yung about myth po.
So the teacher teaches their students about mythology. What an excellent idea. Any other? Okay, so, yes, Geraldine?
Ma'am, for me po, teacher shares information about different cultures po.
Okay, a teacher shares stories about different culture. So, very good, but also, it's an excellent idea. Now, let's reveal what really is the sentence behind this two picture. So, this picture tells a teacher tells a story about Olympian gods and goddesses. So, next, you want more? Okay, on the first picture, what it signifies? Anyone?
Ma'am,
Yes, Joshua?
Ma'am, poverty po.
Poverty. Yes? How about Rose? Anne, are you raising your hands? About the second picture?
ano po ma'am? Communication.
It shows communication. How about the last one? Yes, Giselle?
War, ma'am.
War. So, poverty, communication, and war. What do you think is the sentence behind this three picture? Let's put it together. Yes, Joshua?
Napindot lang po.
Okay. So, anyone? What do you think is the message? Yes, Geraldine?
Ma'am, for conversation can lead to misunderstanding po.
Um, very good. How about the other? Yes, Rosemary?
Para po sa ano po, kahirapan po, para po malaman natin kung ano nangyayari sa ibang Pilipino.
Okay, so this picture for you, this picture shows the communication for us to know what others do. Uh this picture shows what is happening around us or in the other country. Okay. So very good also. So let's show or reveal what this picture means. It means poor communication leads to war. Then last, first picture shows, yes, Joshua?
Communication or nagkakaroon po sila ng conversation po.
Yes, it's gonna be communication or a conversation. How about the second picture? Yes, Jonabel?
Ma'am, parang empty room po.
An empty room? It can be, yes. Yes, Giselle?
Parang ano po, ma'am, working place po.
A working place? An office? Okay, very good. How about the last one? What this picture signifies? It has different what?
TV channels po.
TV channels. Thank you, Relos. So let's try to put it all together. The communication, the place, a place or a workplace, and channel. What do you think is the message or the sentence behind it? Yes, anyone?
Ma'am,
Yes, Rose.
para po sa akin ano po, para pong ano, yung dalawang tao po sa unahan, kumbaga sila po yung reporter tapos nagtatrabaho po sila sa isang channel na yan.
Okay, so that's a very wonderful idea, Rose. And how about the others? Let's try to combine it. Yes, Geraldine?
Ano po, conversation happens in different channels po.
A conversation happens in different channel. Yes, Edwin, are you raising your hand?
Parang sa ano po, sa iba't ibang channel po na yun, yung dalawang pong tao, sila po yung nagbibigay ng salita sa atin.
So, they are the reporters you were saying, right? Okay. So all of
Yes
your
po, ma'am.
answers were correct based on the pictures that we've shown. But this is uh the sentence behind these pictures. The communication in the workplace and its channel. And this is also our topic for today. The communication in the workplace and its channel. So are you ready?
Yes, ma'am. Indeed.
Okay. Okay, let's start. First, let's define what is communication. Please read from the group. Anyone? Yes, Catherine Ramirez.
Communication is an activity that people engage in every day. Yet it is mastery to be an effective communicator remains that phantoms of the many and the gift to a few seems to have been born with it.
So meaning to say, communication, it is an activity that people engage or that are people facing in their everyday life. So meaning to say, all of us can communicate, but not all of us is effective when it comes to communication. Why do you think is the reason? Why not all of us is effective if all of us is engaging into communication every day? Yes, Keanu?
Kasi po yung, meron po kasing probability na iba po yung mga iba pong tao meron po silang disability po sa through communication po.
Yes, you're right. So, thank you for your answer. So, as you can see, not all of us can communicate well. It's maybe because we have problems or we have different ways to show our gratitude or our emotions to other people. And there are also times that we encountered peoples with special needs, and it's hard for them to actually communicate with one person. So next, okay, for Gia, please read the next paragraph.
The importance of good communication in everyday life is just like a stimulating coffee. It excites you, but once you have it, keeping it is another thing because it is just as difficult to sleep after.
So meaning to say that good communication, it's like an addiction. Addiction in a positive way that you wants to keep on communicating and communicating and enhance your communication with other person. So, question, do you have question with this slide?
None po.
Okay, none. So, we will proceed to the next slide. The next slide is receptive skills. So, these are the skills that we use in communicating. Receptive skills. What do we mean by receptive skills? Receive the language and decode the meanings to understand the message. In receptive skills, we were the one who receiving the message. We were the one who needs to decode or to identify what is the reason or what is the message behind those interactions. So that is receptive skills. So what are the skills? What are the skills under receptive skills? What do you think? We have two under our macro skills. So under receptive skills, we have listening. Of course, through listening, we were able to receive messages. And then, of course, reading. When we read, we get the information already. Okay? So the next is productive skills. What do we mean by productive skills? Use the language that have acquired and produce a message. So under productive skills are speaking and writing. Of course, in productive skills, you already gain the information. You already have the message. You understand the message. Of course, you have to produce or you have to give something, or you have to say something, or you have to write something about it. Meaning to say, uh, the language you have, you need to use it. By means of what? By means of writing or speaking. Okay? So questions so far.
None po.
Okay, Nan? So let's proceed to the next slide. Ooh, what do we have here? It's the first picture shows the Miss Universe competition. It's the 69th Miss Universe competition. While the other is our candidate, which is Rabia. So, uh, this pageant was held on May 16, 2021. But unfortunately, our candidate didn't bring home the crown. And I hear a lot of you saying that the reason why our candidate didn't even part of the top 10, it's because she isn't a Latina. So what is your stand about it? Do you believe in that? Do you really think that the reason why Rabia or our candidate didn't win or didn't even part of the top 10 isn't because she is a Latina? She is not a Latina. Do you think it's really unfair if that is the stand or that is the situation? Anyone?
Ma'am, for me po, kung yun po yung basis nila, syempre unfair po yun. Pero may judges naman po tayo. Sila po yung magja-judge kung sino po yung makakapasok sa top 5. Pero yun nga po, nagmula po yung speculations na hindi po nanalong any candidate from Asia dahil nga daw po Latina yung mga judges.
But for you, Geraldine, do you think that our candidate lost because of that?
Hindi po, ma'am.
Why?
Binigay naman po, ginawa naman po ni Rabia yung best niya, pero I think something is missing po. Or baka masyado lang pong na-set yung standard ko dahil kay Catriona and kay Pia words.
You
Kaya
have
po,
your you have your bias. How about the others? I want to hear your insights about this one. Anyone from the group? Yes, Rosemary?
Ano po yung tanong?
Okay, the question is, what would be your insight about this about the last Miss Universe competition? So as we can see, others says that Arabia isn't part of the top 10. It's because the judges are Latinas. So do you believe in that, or what are your stands in that question?
Para po sa akin, ma'am, ginawa po naman po lahat ni Rabia para pong mas tumaas ang expectation natin kasi nga po yung pagkaano po ni Catriona, masyado tayong humanga sa kanya.
So, you also a Catriona fan, ha?
Pero po mas po ako kay Rabia kasi po, kahit hindi po siya nagpa-apekto sa mga tao. 'Di ba po, ang dami pong nagda-down sa kanya na hindi niya po kaya. Kumbaga, hindi po niya ginaya yung expectation po natin kay Catriona na kumbaga po 'di ba po si Catriona, napahanga po tayong lahat. Hindi po niya ginaya yung para po mapahanga din po natin siya.
Okay, so you were trying to say that Rabia goes to the contest with her own identity and not
Opo,
try
ma'am.
to imitate Catriona Gray, right?
Opo.
Okay. So, other insights were correct. Actually, those are your opinions, and I don't have anything to say about that. But remember that in every competition, there is always a winner. There is always one winner or one champion. It's not about the crown. It's not about who win or who lose. But it's about the experience of those people, because in every experience they did, they gained something with it. Meaning to say, the best part of Arabia in going to that competition is not about bringing back the crown, but her journey all throughout her Miss Universe competition, or her Miss Universe journey. As you can see, yes, she didn't, or she failed to win the crown or bring home the crown, but still, she gained a lot of friends during the competition. They have sisterhood. So and I think that that is the time that you really win in every competition that you will join. That experience that you gain and the people you've met. So, any other who wants to answer? So, we will proceed to the next slide. Okay. So, this picture or the conversation we have earlier is part of the basic interaction pattern according to Noonan. So, according to Noonan, first, there should be an initiation. So, initiation starts with what? Starts with me. I initiate you by means of asking questions about the picture. The next is the response. When we say response, those are their answers. The answers coming from Rosemary and Geraldine. Well, the last, of course, would be the feedback. The feedback of the feedback, or those are the answers, or those are the explanation I've said at the end of the conversation. So that is the basic interaction pattern. Did you understand now the basic interaction pattern based on Noonan? Yes, Jewel? Okay, questions? Now,
None po.
did you
None
understand?
po. Yes po.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Let's proceed to the next, which is workplace. So earlier we will talk about the communication itself. Now let's go to the workplace. What do we mean by workplace? Workplace is a location where someone works for their employer or themselves, a place of employment. So as for me, this is my workplace. I am working right now. I am your teacher and you were my students. So this is an example of a workplace already. Other were office, uh, their construction site. We have fields. They have old fields. For doctors, they have hospital as their workplace. So those are workplace. Then the second bullet says that the fitness of one's individual in the workplace requires a certain capacity, which is the interplay of interwoven complex skills or a multimodal skills. Meaning to say, when we are in our workplace, we aren't using only a skill or one skill. We were using complex or different skills. Like what I am doing right now. I am speaking. And then, I am also using my listening. Why? Because I am listening to your opinions for us to have an interactive or a collaborative class for today. So, questions about workplace?
None.
Okay, let's proceed to the next. So please read
Po.
the first bullet under workplace again. Yes, Trisha?
To perform in the workplace, one must possess the determinate abilities, general education, and specialist education in the discipline.
Okay. So when we were talking general and specialist education, we were talking about their specialties. Of course, while we were studying, we have minor and major subjects. Minor subjects, those are the general education. Those are the knowledge that we need to acquire, meaning all of us must have possessed it. One example of it is a good communication. In every field, you need to have or you need to be good when it comes to communication. But then, when we elevate when we put it in a higher level, sorry, when you put it into the higher level, there is what we call specialist education or art specialization is specialization. So when we have specialization, I am an English major. So meaning to say, uh, I must possess a excellent excellent when it comes to grammar, communication skills when it comes to English. Well, some of you have major in math. So meaning to say, I do expect that you were good or are excellent in math rather than in other subject. Like for example, in algebra, in geometry, like in science, in physics, or in biology. So that is what we call general and specialist. How about the next bullet, anyone? Yes, Arlene?
The first requirement determines the purpose of why the people would engage in a communication, but to be able to carry out tasks and meet company's goal, separate requirements and language skills are required to determine the readiness of graduates for communication in the workplace.
So meaning to say, like what I've said earlier, that as a general, we need to have a good communication skill. Because when you were in the field, that is the first thing you need to build for you to grow. Like what we have earlier, that poor communication leads to war. Meaning to say, when you have poor communication, it might lead to another misunderstanding. It may lead to a possible disapproval of proposals. So in every workplace, it requires us to have a good communication skills. That's why we have what do we call interviews at the very first. They in our interviews, they are not really measuring our skills because skills can be measured right after you hired. But in our interview, they were trying to see if we are good when it comes to communication. That's why when you were in while you were in your interview, there are some questions that aren't related, or there are questions that will be asked by the interviewer even though it's not work related. Just just for them to test you when you have if you have communication skills. So, questions about the workplace and communication skills.
Yan po.
Nan po.
Okay, thank you. So, let's proceed to the next slide. We have what we call communicative competence. So, please read first the first bullet. Yes, Angelica?
The competence that demonstrates the ability to communicate effectively across orientations.
How about the second group? Second pattern, second bullet. Yes, Trisha?
This means the graduates must possess the accuracy in the use of English in assimilating conversations with colleges, co-workers, clients, top managers, associates, and the society where they are immersed.
Okay. So, in communicative competence, according to what it says, that at first, when you were communicating with another person, you must have the accuracy in the use of English. Meaning to say, uh, in English, we don't have what to be called po and opo to show our respect with the other person. So meaning to say, uh, in the use of English, we need to show them our respect, even though they are colleagues, co-workers, client, top manager, associate, or everyone in the company. We need to show them the respect and the respect that they deserve, even though they were colleagues or even though they are lower than us, we need to respect them. But again, we need to give a different level of respect to our bosses, to our associates, to our business partner because we don't know them. And again, your first meet up or your first interaction with them or your first business with them would last long if they think that uh, you didn't filter the words that you said to them and treat them as if that you were just you were friends outside, then do you think they will approve you as your partner? Always remember that communication builds the business. A good communication builds a business. You need to be competent when it comes to communicating with your associates, with your business partner, of course with your bosses, and with your coworkers. Why do you think you need to be competent when it comes to your coworkers and colleagues? Anyone?
Why? Why you need to be
Yes, Geraldine, are you trying to answer?
Kung nag-iisip lang mo ka ng sagot.
Okay, okay. I'll give you time.
Ma'am, ano po ulit yung question po?
Okay, my question is, why do you think you need to be or you need to have communicative competence even you were just talking to your coworkers and colleagues? Yes, Jewel, you're raising your hands. Let's hear from Jewel. Okay. I think she isn't raising her hand. How about the others? Why do you think? Don't worry. There is no correct. There is no wrong answer. This is just your insights. Yes, Kianu?
Ma'am, kasi po kapag po nagkaroon po ng competency po ba? Tama po?
Yes, competence?
Do'n po nagkakaroon po yung pagka-excel po natin kung paano po tayo makakapag-communicate po sa iba pong tao.
Yes, very good. As you can see, even though they are co-workers or they have the same level with us, if uh, our communication with them isn't good, do you think that you will they will feel good about you? Of course not. They will not feel good about you. That's why there's what do we call uh there is what do we call group there's what do we call divided into different groups. The company that has divided into different groups per take note per uh per level, meaning to say they are not efficient enough. Why? Because they were trying to destroy one another, meaning to say there is what do we call envy. They were they weren't happy about your achievements. They were think badly about you. If you don't build a good communication with them, if you aren't competent enough to communicate, if you were just competent when it comes to your bosses, they will look at you as if you were what? You were leeches. You were leeches was just sipping at your bosses. So that is the reality within the workplace. Okay? So questions.
None po.
Okay, so let's proceed to the next slide. Okay, so what do you mean by this one? Involves knowing when and how to say what to whom. What do you think is the message of this quotation? Yes, Jewel?
Ano po, ma'am? This involves po yung manners po natin when we're talking to other people. Siyempre po yung iba, may mga proper profession. So, kailangan po natin makipag-usap sa kanila in respectful way po.
Okay, very good. So just like what I've said earlier, you must know as an employee or as a person, you must know what to say, when to say, and how to say it based on who you were talking to. Okay? So let's proceed to the next. Communication for work purposes is the process of sharing message both in verbal and non-verbal form between colleagues, superiors, subordinate, or any other person within the organization. So, what do you mean by this one? Who wants to share? Okay. So, meaning to say, in this paragraph, yes, Joel, you were trying to answer? Joshua? Okay, let's hear it from them first. Okay, Joshua.
Diyan po ma'am, pinapakita po na by brainstorming po and then sharing thoughts about certain topic po. Dito po mabubuo yung good communication and magiging maganda po yung resulta ng kanilang pinag-uusapan.
Yes, very good. So as you can see, verbal, it can be verbal or non-verbal message, it doesn't matter. As long as you were what?
Communicating.
You were communicating with them. Thank you, Brian. You were communicating with them. You have established a good communication with one another. because your business or your office or your workplace or your work wouldn't be successful if there is no message sharing by people within your workplace. Next, it uses the channel that are appropriate, acceptable, and available for the organization. Usually, on the excuse me, on the purpose of getting a job done for the purpose of mobility and synchronous dissemination of information. So meaning to say, when we were using different channels or different ways on how we disseminate the message, we need to we need to be appropriate, acceptable, and available within the organization. Of course, they need to what? They need to understand one another. If you were if you were going to discuss it to them with the words that they don't understand, they won't get the job done. How they can do a job if they don't have a clear understanding what are you going to do, right? So next, there may not be established rules in identifying qualities of a good communication, but there is a standard procedure that the organization adopt, which makes them similar. All communication must be correct, clear, and credible in order to be effective. So what do you mean by this one? Anyone?
Ma'am,
Yes, Geraldine?
ma'am, ano po, it says po that all communication must be correct, clear, and credible in order to be effective. Kasi po, sa isang industry po or ma'am or sa workplace, mahirap pong magkaroon ng misunderstanding when it comes po sa information dahil it will affect pati the nature of the work po. Maaaring magkaroon po ng pagkakamali sa mga products, sa mga orders, then magkakaroon po ng bad feedback para po doon sa sinabing work na po na yun.
Yes, you were right. So as you can see, we need to have a good communication for us to be successful. Another thing is that uh, did you ever have encountered or who among you have a work experience already?
Ako po, ma'am.
Geraldine again. Yes, Catherine also and Brian. So as you can see, while you were signing your contract, did you ever read about communication standard procedure? Did they ever discuss it to you? Try to think of it and then share it with us. Of course, you have to share it with us. think, think about it. Did you ever had that kind of procedure or standard procedure with when you were working? Did you ever read about it? Because I've been in different work, but none of them requires me or none of them had a written rules, regulations, and standard about communication. Because good communication is under what do we call unwritten rule. They don't need to discuss it or you don't need to sign about it, but you need to have it. For what? Why do you need to have it? Of course. Like what we've always say earlier, it's because it's for the success. It's for the success of our business, of our work, of our job. Okay. So questions about this one?
None po.
None, ma'am.
Okay, so let's proceed to the next slide. So we're done defining communication. Now, let's go. As you can see, communication and communications. Only one letter difference. But it already makes them differ from one another. What do you think is their difference? Anyone? Do you have any wild guess about it? Do you have any uh idea? Okay, so I think let's define first both of them for you to better understand the difference between communications and communications. So the first one, communication is the concentric interconnecting circles that people in the organization engage. The people achieve goals of the organization or the company in a synchronous manner using interpersonal, intrapersonal, group or team, organizational company, public media, intercultural, written, and spoken communication, each with its own purpose. While communications with S is the systems and mechanics used in transferring data. Critical to the note is that the entire operation does not only depends on the established network system that the company uses to communicate to build relationship. There are important channels of communications that people use to send and receive message. So based on our definitions, what do you mean or what is the difference or what they differ from one another? Okay, I've seen someone who chatted on the chat box. I will Okay, according to Trisha, communication is the sharing, receiving, and interpretation of message, while communications is the means by which those message get shared. Okay, very good. What a very nice observation, Miss Trisha. Yes, Brian, you're raising your hand.
Yes, ma'am, I am po.
Okay.
Um, Communications po, ma'am, is a system for transmitting information for such some media or some devices which like telephone, TV, also web, social media, and others. While the communication, it simply involves individuals exchanging messages. It also referring to the humans itself who is communicating towards each other. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, excellent. What a very nice answer coming from you, Brian. Okay, and any another yes, Geraldine?
Ma'am, yung communication po, yun po yung message na ano po, from one another. Tapos yung communications naman po, ito po yung sinasabi na system kung paano po na ipapasa yung communication or yung idea, thoughts po ng isang tao sa isang tao. Paano po na nare-receive or na-interpret po nung isang tao, yun po yung communications.
Okay, very good. So, It seems that you really understand the meaning of communications and communications based on their meaning. So let's read another from the comment section or the chat box from John Mark form. Rosemary, communication is the interaction of an individual and sharing message. While according to John Mark, put put simply, communication is the sharing, receiving, and interpretation of data, while communication is the means of those message get shared. So all your answers were correct. So communication, it is the interaction. This is the message sent. This is the data given from one person to another. While the communications with letter S is the channel. This is how you send your message. Okay, so let's proceed to the next slide since you understand it well. Okay, so the people transmits message using the following. So we have different ways of delivering or transmitting the message. First one is visual communication. Of course, we use our visual communication like for example, signage. Those signage within just a simple drawing or a simple sign, it already sends a message. It's already give us a message. Same with the auditory. In auditory, you have to listen. Like for example, when your boss is asked for you for a meeting, you just need to press one button and then it sends to everyone that we will having a meeting. Another is a ring of a bell. It means what? It can be dismissal or recess. While in tactile, it's the use of what? It's the use of touch or feel. Tactile. Meaning to say, within just one squeeze of a hand, you already know what the meaning of this. Squeeze of hands. HHWW. What about in haptic? Any ideas about haptic? Yes, Brian? Are you raising your hand, Brian? Ah,
No, ma'am.
I'm sorry. How about in haptic? So in haptic, we were using our it's the use of our
Touch.
Sense of
yes.
touch.
Sense.
Sense of touch, ma'am.
Okay, so sense of touch. That is our fifth what? Fifth sense. Fifth senses. Okay? So number five. Number five is electronic communication. Of course, last meeting, right, we discussed about electronic mails, in which through electronics or through electronic devices, we can send what do we call messages, emails. We have video calls or just a regular call. Those are electronic communication. Well, the expressions or kinesics, well, if I give you this space, you already know that I am angry. Well, this space. If you show me smiling, of course, you know that I am happy. If I am crying, of course, you will know that I am happy also. If, of course, it depends on the situation. There are what do we call tears of joy. Okay? So, questions.
None
Wala
po.
po.
Okay, so let's proceed to our next slide. So, what do we have here? Action speaks louder than words. This we encounter it almost every day, every week. Okay, discussion. So I want you to think of it. I want you to reflect about it once we go further with our discussion. And then I will ask your opinion. Again, if your opinion change about uh this citation. Okay? So our next topic would be verbal messages. What do we mean by verbal messages? A form of communication that use words and sounds to convey message. Meaning to say we were producing sounds with words. Again, now we were using sounds with words when it comes to verbal messages. Examples were a simple conversation. The next would be a speaker speaking in front of her listener. The next example is two people talking to one another using cellular phone. And last would be video call. So the next would be non-verbal message. So what are the non-verbal message? What do we mean by this? Our form of communication that use of uh, body language including eye contact, facial expression, gestures, and more. Example, sign language. In sign language, we were using our hands to send messages. Next again, facial expression. Uh, Once you see my facial expression, you will already know what I am feeling right now, or maybe I want you to know, or I am sending you a message through my facial expression. If Then last would be body language. Of course, when you were feeling down, when you were feeling gloomy or feeling sick, your body says it all. Okay? You your mouth or your words can be different from what your body is giving us the message. It can be. But then who do you think tells it all? Your body itself or or the words coming from me? Think, think, think. Okay, let's proceed to the next. Nonverbal messages. Nonverbal messages must be clear and its purpose is used intentionally. So, in workplace, we were using nonverbal communication intentionally. We are using it because we need to, because we have to. Okay? It must be used to reinforce the verbal message. It contains three basic requirements of verbal communication. So what are those? The first is clarity. The second will be coherence. And the last will be credibility. So again, my dear students, what do you think is the reason why these three equalizes verbal and non-verbal communication when it comes to workplace or when it comes to communication? Anyone? Again, reminder, there is no wrong answer. Yes, Geraldine, very active.
For me, Ah, kailangan po nitong tatlo na 'to to build up the trust sa co-employer mo. Since, yun nga po, dito pumapasok yung trust na kapag may tiwala ka sa employer, sa katrabaho mo, nandito po yung clarity, coherence, and credibility. Alam mo na hindi ka niya ipapahamak kahit non-verbal yung mode of communication na ginagamit.
Okay, excellent. How about Brian? I see you're raising your hands.
Ma'am, those three C's po, which was the clarity, coherence, and credibility, is part po of is the basic requirements of a verbal communication, as it is the greatest foundation in establishing a relationship towards other people. Hence, it also creates a connection between the people you're talking to, and however it also amplifies your feeling towards other people po.
Okay, very good. So as you can see, based on your classmates' answer, that a verbal and non-verbal communication must be must have clarity. Why? Based on our game earlier, that when you have a poor communication or miscommunication, it leads to war. Meaning to say, if you aren't, if your verbal and non-verbal communication matches, meaning to say, there will be a discrepancy. Okay? There will be a discrepancy, right? Like for example, you were doing on financial. You were part of the financial of your company. And then there is what we call loss in our company. Your boss asked you about it. You said that you don't know anything about it. But then, your guys keep on doing like this. And then you were very tense. As you can see, you're already giving mixed signal to your boss. It makes you doubted. The next would be coherence. Of course, they need to be coherent with one another. They need to unify. Your verbal and your non-verbal message must be unified. Okay? So, incredibility. Once you were a speaker, your every move you will do will be seen by your listener. Every move, every move also gives them a sign of how well your knowledge about the topic. If they see that you aren't confident enough to what you were talking or what you were speaking, do you really think that they will they will trust you about the information you were giving to them? Maybe some will give you that, but most of them will give you a benefit of the doubt. That's why this three would be needed. Or this 3C must have a same level in verbal and non-verbal messages. When you were sending a message, your verbal and non-verbal must be united, must be one. Okay, so questions about this one?
None po,
None
ma'am.
po.
Okay, so let's go back to this quotation. So, anyone from the group wants to share about their... Yes, Angelica.
Yes po. Dito po
Okay.
sa action speaks louder than words. Dito po, mas pinapakita po nung isang tao yung pinaka-real attitude po niya towards dun po sa kinakausap niya or dun sa kasama niya. So, like for example, sa relationship po ng isang tao, sa relationship po ng isang tao, pag sinabi po bang mahal ka po ba talaga? But kailangan mong pakita po nung isang tao yung care, yung love, yung effort, yung time para po mapakita na mahal ka po talaga. Yun po, ma'am.
So, meaning to say, do you believe in this?
Yes po.
To some you believe in this even though we already said earlier that they must be congruent.
Sa akin po, ma'am, yes po. Kasi po,
Okay.
sa pinag-aralan po kasi natin, ano po, before you became a good listener or a good communicator, you need to become a good listener. Kailangan mo po munang mapakinggan yung sinasabi ng iba bago po maging para po matawag kang mahusay na isang communicator din po.
Yes, what a very fantastic idea coming from you.
Yes po. Natutunan ko po yung kay Ma'am Dayan, kay Ma'am Grace.
Okay. Ay, special mention, ma'am. Okay, any other question? I mean, any other insight? Yes, Keanu? Let's hear from Keanu.
Ma'am, naririnig po ba ako?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Wait lang. Ano, for me po, action speaks louder than words po. So, means po, person's actions po are more impactful than just their words alone. And it is put another way, instead of just talking about or doing something, it's more meaningful if a person actually does something po. Bali po, mas maganda po na magkaroon po muna ng actions, kasi po yung words po kasi nasasabi lang po yan, meaning po na meron pong chance or probability na hindi po magawa din po ng isang tao po yun.
Okay. So, but again, there are people, or there is what we call, they were saying it that they were just showing, uh, they were just showing sweet actions, that they really care about you, and then ending, you were what? You were hopya in the end. So what is your stand about it? Because as you can see, all your answers were correct. But again, that was your insights. But then always remember, students, that in every action, there should be a corresponding words. That in every action, it needs clarification of your words. I am not saying that words must be higher than action and action must be lower than words, or vice versa. What I'm trying to say is that when you do the action, you must reinforce it with your words. With your words. And when you were saying it with your words, you have to reinforce it with your actions for us you not to have a misconception. Okay? So as you can see, actions and words, they are really in the same level. There are times that we need to act higherly, but of course, we need again to reinforce it with words. Okay? We need to always support it with words. Same as with the opposite. There are times that we need to voice it out more often than do it than do it than do it. Because why? There are people who are, remember, Remember, my dear students, that we have we have diversity. Meaning to say, there are peoples who are good when it comes to showing their emotions, but there are people who are good when it comes to words. But then, of course, they need to support it from one another for it to be understood well by the other people. Okay, so questions? Or you have violent reactions about what I've said? Anyone?
Po.
Yes? Okay. So, if none, are you sure that you don't have questions?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, if none, why do you think do you think it is suitable to include communication skills in a resume?
Yes po, ma'am.
Yes, why, Geraldine?
Lalo ma'am kapagka nag-a-apply ka po, in a corporate sales po, ganyan. Siyempre, kailangan mong humarap sa customers. Kailangan mo ng good communication skills kung paano mo sila ma-attract na to buy something or buy your product. Kailangan po magaling kang
Feel stuck?
para kang mag-entertain ng customer. Ayun po, ma'am.
Okay. So, yes, very good. Of course, we need to include our communication skills when it comes to including it in our resume. When it comes to including it in our resume, we need to since we need they need to know if we were good when it comes to negotiating with one another, since that is the uh, essential part of every business. Okay, now, okay, what do we mean by communication? Let's have a review, or let's generalize our discussion for today. Yes, Geraldine.
Communication po is the message conveyed by one person from another person.
Okay, thank you. Next, what is a receptive and productive skills? Anyone? Yes,
Um,
Joshua?
ang recept ang receptive skills po, ito po yung yung nagre-receive po ng message. At yung productive skill naman po, ito po yung nagsasend po ng message.
Yes, very good. Next, what is the basic interaction? According to Nunan, the three basic interaction. Yes, Joshua again? Very fast.
Ano po? Ito po yung intuition, response, and feedback.
Yes, very good. Now, next, let's define workplace. Anyone? Yes? Trisha, are you opening your mic?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Workplace
what
is
is
a location where someone's works for their employee or themselves, a place of employment.
Okay, very good. Now, who can differentiate communication and communications? Yes, Angelica?
So, yung communication po, ito po yung pang-araw-araw po nating ginagawa or yung ito na po yung receiving, yung normal pong way natin ng pagre-receive ng message. While yung ano po, yung communications with S, ayan po yung pagta-transmit na po or yung paggamit na po ng technology or media.
Okay, very good. How about this? Can someone enumerate the 6 ways of how people transmit their message? Who can enumerate? Yes, Kathy Ramirez.
Number 1 po, visual communication. Number 2, auditory. Number 3 po, tactile. Number 4, haptic. Number 5, electronic communication. Number 6, expression or kinesics.
Yes, very good. And last, who can differentiate verbal and non-verbal message? Yes, Giselle?
Verbal po ginagamitan po ng boses. Yung non-verbal po pwede pong ano po, expression po, gestures, ganun po.
Yes, very good. So it seems that everyone understand our lesson for today. Let's proceed to our today's activity. We will using Jamboard. Okay? So in our Jamboard, I will send the link. Last time, I divided you into 4 groups, and then each group will have their own Jamboard. I will send it one by one at our chat box. And then you have to make a mnemonic about communication. Okay, for a moment, I will send it one by one. Don't open it yet. I will give you a time to open it. You only have 3 minutes. You only have 3 minutes to answer or to give your insights about this. And then later, we will going to discuss it one by one. You also have 2 minutes each to discuss your works. Okay, now I already sent all the Jamboard 1 to 4. Okay. You have 3 minutes. You only have 3 minutes to do it. Okay. Everyone starts now. I will check it if everyone is doing and participating. Let's go to our Okay, 2 minutes. Okay, 1 minute and 20. Last 1 minute. Thirty. 30 seconds. Okay, everyone, stop. Okay, stop, stop. I can see that you're still moving. Okay, now let's proceed to who will go first? Let's see. Our first presenter would be group 3, followed by group 2, followed by group 4. And then our final presenter would be group 1. Okay? So, who will be the presenter of group 3?
Ako po, Ma'am Geraldine po.
Okay, Geraldine, please proceed.
So sa letter C po, una po it's communication connects people. We all know naman po na good communication can connect us to one another. Then letter O of communication stands for objectifies, or the other are um, objectives. The objective of communication is to convey information, instructions, policies, procedures, decisions, and so on. And for letter M, it stands for message. Yun nga po, communication shares message to one person, from one person to another person. Another M makes us informative. Ito po yung naipapasa na natin yung mga ideas natin. Kaya nagiging informative na tayo sa ibang tao. Then, to be effective na speaker po, kailangan totoo yung mga sinasabi natin. Kaya, doon po lumalabas yung sa letter U is understanding. Naiintindihan po nila tayo dahil clear po yung mga sinasabi natin. Then sa N, nourishment. Letter I is information exchange or exchange of informations. Dito po nangyayari yung communication, nagkakapalitan po ng thoughts, ideas, and etc. Sa letter C stands for conversation. Yun nga po, nag-uusap-usap po yung mga tao, kaya nangyayari po yung conversation. Then letter A applies competence. Ito po yung sa tinahal natin kanina na yung work competence, yung ganyan, na saklaw po siya ng communication, lalo sa trabaho. Then, letter T stands for technology. Katulad po nung inaral po natin last week, emails, ayan, dito po pumapasok yung communication using technology. Yun po yung nagkakaroon tayo ng emails, napapasa natin yung message natin sa isang tao through technology. Letter I, intelligence. Ito po yung sinasabi ko kanina na nagiging informative po tayo sa ibang tao dahil nakakapagpasa tayo ng makabuluhang information sa kanila. Letter O, syempre, communication. Sometimes needs to be oral. Kailangan po natin magsalita. Ganyan, yan po yung ginagawa ng mga effective speakers natin. And lastly, letter N, native. Sa native po, I think ito po yung nadidiscuss po yung native na origin po ng communication or kung paano po nagkaroon ng communication ang mga tao nung early ages po. I think yun po. Thank you.
Okay, so very good, everyone. So because of that, I will give you a Chris Aquino clap. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Correct! Okay, now let's proceed to group 2. Our second presenter. Ay, dami. Okay, group 2. Who will be your presenter?
Great evening once again, ma'am, and to my classmates. The presenter would be I, and of course, my classmate, Pauline Alianciano. So first and foremost, we'd like to define first what was the communication. So communication is the interaction of an individual that shares knowledge, ideas, thoughts, etc. It is the exchange of information between people. It is also a key for understanding each other. Communication is a way to understand one another, verbal or nonverbal. Furthermore, communication is the interaction of an individual. So to start up with the letter C, which is the culture. Culture,
So,
go, I go.
okay. We put culture here since we know different cultures have different ways of communicating. And next, we have the organizational communication.
For organizational communication, it is the sending and receiving of messages among interrelated individuals within a particular environment or setting to achieve. Next in line, we have medium.
Medium, people use different medium to communicate. And so medium, we can communicate through phone calls, through books, through writing. Yeah. And next, we have mass.
Mass simply referring to the group of people who is the who will receive the ideas, the informations, and the thoughts. Moving forward, we have the word unity.
Unity, since people are communicating, communication allows people to establish unity. Next, we have network.
Network is equals to the communication makes people interconnected, which results in establishing a network. Next, we have intelligence.
Intelligence, we know that it can be inborn, but intelligence can be also developed, and communication allows an individual to develop intelligence. Next, we have communication, connection.
Connection. So since communication is the base in starting in establishing relationship, and with that it also creates a connection to have an efficient communication. Next we have asynchronous.
Communication can be synchronous communication and asynchronous communication. So we put here asynchronous since communication can be in the forms of email and collaborative documents. Now we have technology.
Technology is basically referring as one of the platforms that we have in order for us to do a communication. Next in line we have information.
Communication involves information. It allows people to exchange information. Now we have online.
Online is pertaining on how people communicate, connect, transact, to send, retrieve, or receive information of any kind via the internet using digital media. And to end our mnemonic, we have the word news.
News, since it helps us disseminating significant events, whether it is local or international.
Just a little reminder, communication is a power, so we must use it accordingly and efficiently. Thank you. Have a great evening, everyone.
Okay, what a very informative way of discussing your work. So because of that, I will give you a TikTok style clap. Excellent! Okay, I'm sorry. I know I'm not a good dancer. Okay, now let's proceed to number group 4. Okay, group 4,
Hello,
take the
ma'am.
floor.
In communication, in letter C, sa communication meron tayong nabubuong connection, just like simpleng pakikipag-usap sa friends, family, mas lalong lumalaganap yung connection natin sa isa't isa. Then sa letter O, observant. Sa pakikipag-communicate kasi, hindi nawawala yung pagiging observant ng tao. Ah, Importante rin 'to sa ano, 'pag nag-share ng feelings yung kausap mo, ganyan. Na-o-observe mo kaya nagbibigay ka rin ng response at ayun yung advice mo. And then sa letter M, yung message, ayun, Sa communication, di mawawala ang message. And then sa isang letter M ay mail. Nagagamit din natin yung mail through internet, which is yung email. Mas madaling um, mas madali nating matanggap. And then letter U, understand each other. In communication, naiintindihan natin ang isa't isa sa pakikinig sa pagiging observant like the letter O. And then letter N, negative feedback. Hindi mawawala ang negative feedback sa communication. For example, dito yung wari nagpe-present ka ng research. Siyempre po, magkakaroon po ng negative feedback yung mga tawag doon, yung mga
The
nag-judge.
panel.
Ayun
Okay,
po,
yeah.
the panels po.
I get it out.
And
Okay.
then the letter I, intelligence po. Just like po yung sinabi po ng isang group na nagde-develop po yung intelligence natin by sharing of information, by having communication. And then the letter C, the conversation, and po makikipag-usap po sa isa't isa. And then the agreement. Yung agreement po, um,
Agreeing.
agreeing po, um, communication can close an agreement, especially in the business world. Ayan po. And then the letter T, transfer of information. And then the letter I, interconnects people. Ayun po yung sharing feelings, ideas, and informations and others. Sa communication po, nagbubuo po ng organization. And then sa letter N, just like the letter A agreement, ginagamit din po siya sa business. Yan po. Thank you.
Okay, so very good again. So I will give you a Aling Janisha clap. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Very good, very good, very good. Okay, so for our last presenter, let's all welcome the group 1. Who is your presenter, group 1?
Me po,
Ma'am, ako
ma'am.
po.
Okay, go.
Ako na po. So, ano po, yung for letter C po, communication po, di ba po ang communication is a transmitting or the um, sharing of yung ano po yung mga sinasabi natin to other people po. And about O po, yung opinion, communication can make through our opinion po ng masses po. Kaya po nagkakaroon din po ng communication po. And next po, message, communication can be a message. Communication can be a message po dahil po sa pagkakaroon ng communication between other people, between other people po. And
Okay.
Media, which means communication can makita po natin siya in other ma'am, narinig po ba ako?
No, I can hear you clearly. Okay.
Ma'am, narinig.
Yes, I can hear you clearly, Keanu. You can proceed. Keanu.
So, multimedia po, which
Okay.
means
Yes.
communication po can used to or multimedia or the social network understanding. Through communication we can cope with the understanding or the which means the vocabulary to that we can get and learn to other people. And narrative po, dahilan po sa communication we can write through communication po, sa nare-receive po natin mga information through communication po, pwede po natin tong ma-list down or even we can make it formal information po we can make informal information. Kaya po, communication is a narrative. And communication is also an information po dahilan po sa nakuha po natin to sa ibang tao or ibang or other people po sa isang society. And communication is also communication diversity dahil lang po sa iba't ibang mga or the division between the other people. Kunwari po, may iba't iba po tayong mga kultura or iba't ibang language po. Kaya po nagkakaroon po ng communication diversity through communication po. And communication is an activity dahilan sa lagi na natin itong ginagawa or isa na rin itong parang inherited sa ating mga tao na nagkakaroon ng communication. And communication can also be a translation dahilan po sa yung mga iba pong dahil di ba po nagkakaroon po ng communication diversity which means through translation po and nagamit po yung communication po through, para po ma-translate sa ibang language yung particular na language na binabanggit po ng ibang tao. And communication is a intrapersonal and interpersonal communication. Ito pong dalawang communication na communication, ito po yung mas madalas na nagagawa ng communication dahilan po sa through friends or speaking to other to our one particular person or dahilan po sa nakapag-iisip-isip po tayo dahilan po sa minsan sa ating mga intuition or ating mga subjective matter na pwedeng masabi sa ibang tao. Next is observation. Communication can be an observation dahilan po sa kung ano po yung naririnig natin or ano po yung naiintindihan po natin sa ibang tao na yan. Pwede po tayong magkaroon ng observation, pwede po tayong magkaroon ng communication dahil lang po kung ano po yung na-observe natin doon sa napakinggan natin sa ibang tao. And lastly, non-verbal. Communication can be a non-verbal in terms na we can use our body languages or gestures para po makipag-communicate sa ibang tao po. Yun lang po, ma'am. Thank you po.
Okay, good job. Good job, Piano. Even though I see that it seems that you were struggling with your signal, you delivered it very well. So for your group, I will give you a batanggenyo clap. 1, 2, 3. Wala, 1, 2, 3. Ala, galing-galing. Okay, so much with our activity. Now let's proceed to your quiz. I will send the link at our chat box again. This is only composed of 10 items, multiple choice quiz. You have 2 minutes to answer. Okay, Joshua is done. How about the others? You still have 30 seconds. Yes, Geraldine is also done. Mary Joy? Okay. Okay, time's up. So, later I will give to your class manager your scores. Okay? So, let's proceed to your assignment. For your assignment, answer the analysis on your on page 128 of your module Purposive Communication. It is equivalent to 15 points. I will post it at our Google Classroom. Okay. You have until May 31 to pass it. Okay, it is posted already. So, do you have any questions about our discussion for today, class, before we end our discussion? Any questions? Clarifications, violent reactions?
None, ma'am.
Yan po.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry that we exceed to our time, but I hope that you've learned and enjoyed this our lesson for today. So goodbye, class.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We've
Thank
learned
you.
a
Thank you
lot.
po.
Thank you
Thank you
po.
po,
Thank you
ma'am.
po, ma'am.
Have a great day.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you po,
Bye-bye.
ma'am.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you
Thank
po, ma'am.
you.
Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you
Thank you.
po.
Bye.
Sir, wag ka alis ha. May open conference tayo ni na Sir.